What up, what up? Gons here. Just wanted to show you guys, I had someone in my YouTube comments talk about some people kind of giving them heat as far as, you know, Serato Studio not being able to create certain genres. Yeah, with that, we can really expand on what that is, but really my kind of, I guess, 2 cents on this is whatever DAW makes it work for you, and whatever program can get from idea to completion, go for it. If it's Ableton, if it's Logic, if it's Bitwig, if it's Reaper, like Pro Tools, whatever gets you to the end result of getting a song done, do that. I think too many people just get analysis paralysis and having some type of approval of doing things. And I know with studio, you know, some feel like there are some things that are lacking on it, which yes, there are. But I know they're always working on trying to do new updates. So if it's not for you, don't use it, but make awesome songs. I think that's what it's all about. So really the comment was, never seen anyone really do kind of, liquid D&B or kind of chill out kind of drum and bass music. I know some of my followers and subscribers here know that, you know, it's kind of my other thing that I like to do. And so I just want to let people know that it is doable. And I wanted to show one of the kind of remixes that I did that kind of follow that kind of style, just to let people know that it is doable. It is a little bit of work, but with anything, if you put in a little work and creativity and fun, you can come up with really cool stuff. So we're going to get right into it. I'm just going to go ahead and play the hook section of the song. Basically, I took the acapella of Rock the Boat, Aaliyah, R.I.P. Aaliyah, you know, one of the greatest R&B artists in the 90s and early 2000s. Really sad seeing her pass. Fantastic song. And I'm just going to play the hook of how I flip this and then kind of break it down a little bit more. And then just kind of how I assembled this as far as not going from just an idea, but actually completion on this. So here it is. So that's our, you know, main emphasis, like our main chorus. And then I go into kind of like an instrumental breakdown. Now, what I did for the vocal, actually just got the song and stemmed it out. And again, if you're not used to using Serato Studio or looking at this for the first time, it has the stem features if you're coming from, say, Serato DJ, where you can take elements out of the song and then proceed to flip it how you need to. So with the track, I really just needed the vocals. I didn't need the other instrumentation because I was creating that. And generally, when you're going into a remix, you're essentially doing that. You're getting the vocals of the track, and then you're, you know, adding your instrumentation on top of that. So I've already made a couple chops here. Put that there. So I did sections where it's like verse, chorus. I know some people are like, hey, why don't you do it in kind of like the remix editor mode, where you just drop in audio and adjust it from there, which you can. I feel like I have a bit more control when it's set up as a sample deck, as opposed to just a long waveform file that I'm just dragging down here. I don't know. I prefer my little flag systems here. That's kind of what I like. And I feel like I have more control and I can be more precise on where I'm adjusting my start and end points. So we have that. I didn't use my kind of preset drums in here. If you're not aware, you can save your opening project when you load up with drum sounds already ready to go, which I highly recommend you do that. It makes setting up drum patterns really easy without having you physically having to grab drums here, drag them over here, grab drums. You already have a good kind of starting point. And the way you do it is you do it one time as far as bringing in your drum tracks, and then you would go to the top. You can't quite see it on my screen here, but there is a create, and you can save deck preset. And also you can do where you save the project as a default template. So I'll make a kind of general template, save that, and now anytime I'm going to work on something, I have everything ready to go. So we're going to go here, go back to my song view. So yeah, I didn't use the majority of my drums here, which is okay, which is fine. Use this kind of loop here. All about the percussion and stuff. That's one drum there. And again, you can sort these if you feel like you get confused with what you have. You can sort these. So if I wanted to really group together all my drum sounds, I can kind of just move them up and down. So I kind of have some cohesion here with stuff. So that was that drum there. This was kind of like my main drum pattern. And I created some chops so I can add some variation to it. So just know that you don't have to just let this loop right out. You don't have to have it like that the whole time. You can do little chops. So I made a chop right here, here, here. And started to kind of manipulate that right there. So as an example, see how that kind of gave it its own little rhythm just by chopping it. You can get super intricate even with a lot of drum and bass producers in the 90s. They would take that amen break and completely mingle it into crazy stuff, pitch shifting it, doing all kinds of stuff. So I try to keep it simple. I don't want to go super crazy on it because sometimes my wild imagination will do that, and it will be to the detriment of getting a song done. This is generally how the drum pattern went for one of my sequences. Again, I kept it pretty simple. Nothing crazy, nothing crazy. And then at the end, I kind of did this little repetition kind of, yeah, that's it, with the hi-hat on there. So we have that there. And then we have this other kind of percussion here with a little bit of kick and snare. I just added it as like a layer. That's why I kind of panned it a little bit too. So there's that. And then have this other little kind of hi-hat here. So in context, when I put them all together, it fits more like a puzzle. So instead of just having which by itself it's fine, but when I add these little layers, it just, you know, it's all about the layers. It just feels nice. Do you always have to do this? No, you don't. But if it works, then you use it. That's just how I see it. As far as the main melody, shout out to my homie COB, had a phenomenal sample pack called Harmonic Echoes, and kind of play you like what it is originally. So he does a really good job of like doing the whole the whole sample here with all the instrumentation, and then he separates them out. So you'll have like piano, then he'll separate it with guitar, maybe other melodic elements, but they're all separated out. So I ended up, instead of just going straight into using this, which realistically it's double the speed. I halved it. Ran it through quite a bit of effects. So I have kickstart as far as like a sidechain, just to have some ducking in it. And then use the Serato effects. Of course, it wants me to sign in right when I need to do this, but it's all good, no worries. Let me do that here. There we go. We're back in action. Which it's Serato's effects processor unit. If anyone's familiar with RC20, if anybody's familiar with RC20, it works in that same fashion. It has a bunch of different presets that you can adjust and manipulate, and come up with really cool patterns. And then this is kind of like the macro knob, where it's the intensity of everything, and you can adjust each individual one, have parameters. You can nerd out on it, basically. Basically, you can nerd out on that thing. And then some dynamic EQ. This is from Melda Productions. Super cheap, but works really, really good. And I just used it because it had some bass frequencies that I didn't want. So, again, how this would work, think of it like a DJ setup if you're coming from the DJ background. All this in the middle is like your mids right here. Hopefully I can spell right. There we go, mid. This over here is your lows. So a lot of your bass frequencies are there. And then I swear I'm trying my best to do my Madden pen here. And then these are your highs right here. Yeah. One more. There we go. Highs. So you can adjust these for different tonality. If you have some like ringing or feedback, you can really see how things are kind of bouncing around. And if you need to adjust or bring it down, you can use EQ. I don't want to have sound engineers, talk their mess about it, but it is what it is. It's generally what you're doing. You're adjusting frequencies and increasing or decreasing. So, and again, you can add even more effects. You're not limited from like back then to just do 3. You can add as many as you want and as much as your computer can hold. So I'm going to have this back down. I changed the key down 1, and with these chops, so like this down here is like just the pianos. Whoops. I love that tone. I was like, if I just add reverb to that, I'm set. So like if I turn this off, no, let me see. Without it, it sounds like this. Still sounds great. It might be really quiet. If I bring that up, with Serato effects. Definitely gives me a lot more. So that one, just so you know, is called Cosmic Space in the space category. If you have Serato Hex Effects, I will actually put the link in the description so that you can mess with it. Also, I'm going to show it, and I'm running Serato Studio. Might as well give you the link to that, right? So that is our sample there. Also, I found this cool saxophone horn. In Arcade. Arcade is like a sampler catalog. You pick different sample packs within it, and you can trigger them with your keyboard. And so with this Chop Funky Horns one, it was really just one sound I was trying to go for. Or actually a few. I lied. I wanted really kind of, I was in this kind of like spacey, ambient, ethereal type of tones. And then each of these are kind of effect macros that you can control how much reverb it is. So like this reverb, I cranked it up. And then I think I added even more. I went hex effects on that too. I'm hexing everything here. And I added the floating woodwinds preset. Shout out to Amber Navron. She has some really dope presets in here, actually. So yeah, I had that for the saxophone, and then for the sub bass, I just used the stock thick sub bass for it. And then if I solo it, played out the notes. Really what I did was just kind of match the bass or the tone of this one. If you struggle with bass lines, it's okay. I had a lot of struggles with that too when I started. I'm still working on trying to do bass very efficiently, but you just give it a shot. If anything, just try to find the root note of your sample and just do like just quick one shots. Boom, boom, ga-doon, doon. Then when you start getting comfortable with that, you start, adding some more funk to it and kind of build it from there. So yes, I am not the bass master at all. And then Scalar, this is a kind of chord plugin. I'm not blessed with melodically playing things very well. I'm getting there. I'm getting my melodics practice. But this is where you can create chords where you just press one note on your keyboard to create a chord. So when you combine that with some effects, you get really, really lush tones, which is awesome. I'm a sucker for them. Like, dang, I can make a new beat just out of that. So I use that as another layer to our track. And then I'd use this as like a subtle string in a section of the song. Another little hi-hat. I figured I'd just kind of run through some of these here. It's like another hi-hat. I didn't use them all at the same time, but where I felt like it was necessary. Added this kind of percussion fill, and then these kind of like atmospheric type of sounds. Filtered it a lot, and then just did the Serato's built-in echo, and just combine it with the other echo of its main channel here. Which is a little tip. So if you're like, hey, I want echo for this whole chops to be 3/4, but this one specifically, I want a little bit of extra rhythm, you can add it individually to the pad and then do the timing on here. So Nerd Echo Talk, you are welcome. And then we have this other one here. Little warble effect. So I'm going to start breaking down sections of this. So we have our intro. Now you're probably like, Gons, why the hell did you call it Real Intro 2? Reason being is by default, when you load up a project, it starts with one scene called intro. So you could start and build your intro from there and go that way. Sometimes I forget and I'll make a copy, make that what I feel like the intro actually is, and I keep it. But so I don't get confused, I call it Real Intro 2, so that they follow in line with each other. So if you get lost on creating your songs, label your scenes. Label your scenes. I think it's important. So on this real intro, this is our start. Real simple, just having the sample and a little bit of the hi-hat. And I added this scalar, this chord here. Once it gets to there. There we go. I just kind of had that going for a little bit. Bring this down a little bit here. So then at the end of that, I added a little drum, that little djembe fill, just to let me go to the next sequence. Which now the vocals come in and the main drums. So I did these little short chops, almost like little Vox samples. So those are here. Added a whole hell of a lot of echo on each one of these little hits. So I made sure to really keep this here. Actually, I should move this over a little bit. Is just start point, like the start point here, and then the end point here. And now I only have that sound triggering the echo. If I don't have this start and end point, it's going to keep going on forever, and it's just going to make an echo that's just annoying as hell. Actually, let me do that right now just to kind of simulate this. That's not bad, but imagine that going all the way across here during your sequence. It's not going to fit. For the context of this, it's not going to work. So we have this on Real Intro 2. Drum break change here. Yeah, with a little horn right there. So I use that little drum fill and the little saxophone to lead me into the verse of the song. So we have this in context here. Again, we're just in the verse by itself. Keep going to scene 2. Keep the verse still riding. Now we're going to get into the hook here. Now we're into the hook of the song. Hook, I included the sub bass for more texture. I felt like making a 16 bar chorus, so I just made another section. A little bit of a drum change at the beginning of that bar, that first bar, for a little variance. Now we're going to go into this instrumental section right after this. This is where we run into more of the saxophone. Apologies. On the vocal, we just did these kind of vocal change on here. Really long echo, just gives it a nice feel. Now in this next scene, we include the saxophone. I'll solo it. Bring it back in. Just want to let you hear what that saxophone's doing, just to add another layer to it. I'll repeat this real quick. Really, I built everything off of this section. From here, I was able to construct everything else. Once I had this, I'm like, oh, beautiful. This is the vibe that I'm going for. I was like, hell yeah. Going to scene 6, which follows that. Take those elements out. So with that section, I went with a more kind of darker tone, just to have a little change from what we initially had on our verse. So I did some automation with the filter for this section. By itself, it sounds creepy as hell, but it gave me a really good change up on this section. So you have the filter here. I'll bring everything else back in. And then some other tones with the scalar piano. Here's the piano. Dun, dun. next section of that verse coming up right here. Yeah, we're just going through this, you know, like a remix. That's what it is. And now it's set up, we can go back into the hook. And we're right back in it. And then I end up just repeating that section till the very end. And I just kind of ended everything here. So this here. And the reason I'll make this kind of end scene is sometimes I want some of those sounds to kind of carry over and fade out naturally. So things will start to kind of fade out. Because if I don't do that, when you export here in Studio, it's gonna cut it off right here, and it's gonna feel abrupt. So sometimes I made this video a couple years ago called Ghost Scenes, where basically any spillover of this will then go into this here. So if I mute everything else out and leave like the sample, I can just let it naturally decay down, or I can automate a volume filter to like fade it down. So if you're running into like abrupt endings on your tracks and you're like, how come it didn't like leave the rest, is because you didn't have this here. You just had the end scene, and that's where it's going to finish. So if you add a scene at the very end of that you're just using for the spillover, you'll get those natural fading down of sound. And yeah, that's essentially my breakdown on this track. Super fun. Was just in a mood to flip it. I don't know why. Just wanted to make one. I hope seeing this kind of demystifies a few things and letting you know that you can create, you know, really good stuff. I mean, I'm not boasting on this one, but you can create something that's more than just an 8-bar beat. Like you can hash out like fully fledged songs. And again, whatever you decide to use, you know, I'm not here to force you to use this program, but if you like it and you just want to get better at it, this is what I'm trying to do. So if you run into any questions, like feel free to let me know. I try my best to answer every single comment. And also I appreciate all of you giving me video ideas, in the sense of if you need help with something and I haven't touched upon it or even brought up it at all, this lets me know like, hey, I'm lacking something. Let me try to make a video for that. So I'm very appreciative of that. And so this is Gons. Have fun making whatever you're making in whatever you're making it in. And you guys enjoy your day. I'm Gons, Houston, Texas. Peace out, everybody. Later.